Coming up on this week's show, Star Wars Jedi Survivor launches to glowing reviews but a technical mess on PC. Funko Pops are getting in on the gaming market with Funko Fusion. The tremendous looking metroidvania The Last Case of Benedict Fox launches on Gamepass, and much more to talk about. Hello friends, and welcome to the Weekend Catch-Up Club podcast, the coffee morning show brought to you each week where friends hang out and chat about some of the latest stories going on in the industry. You can follow the show on all of your favourite platforms or watch the video version over on youtube.com/gamertagged. This is episode 104, and joining me for all the bands today is none other than the voice from beyond. You've heard her in titles like Rollerdrome and Goat Simulator 3. It's the ethereal, the spooky, the immensely talented, the BAFTA-winning, the always on time, the caffeine-addicted Sarah Lynham.
I was not expecting the additions to the title, and I love them.
2 extra additions. I did that off the cuff. I'm going to need to put it into the script so I don't forget it for future weeks. You know?
Oh my god, always on time. I feel like there's like a little hint of sarcasm in there, but that's fine. I'll live with it.
No, this time I wasn't even like properly set up yet, and you were dialing in, so I was the one that wasn't on time this week. You know.
So today I was always on time.
You were.
Which means 100% of today's time being on time, I was on time.
You were. Kudos to that record.
And coffee, absolutely coffee. Although, that being said, we know about my coffee rule. I'm back on board the coffee rule, and I haven't had a coffee today. So we'll see. It could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm slowly trying to adapt your rule for this as well, because normally I would have already had a coffee, and I would be on my second coffee for the show recording. But this is my first one, and I've only had a sip so far. So.
Well, I like that you're taking on board my mantra, my like I don't know, I guess it's a slightly naturalistic way of looking at things. It's like, oh, you know, it's better to wake up with your own body's hormones and all that sort of jazz. But also, I totally love coffee, so I just don't like the idea of like relying on it to wake up. But equally, I'm fully addicted to it. So it's like I'm not addicted to it as a wake-up method, but I am completely addicted. You know, like, Don't have one day and the next day you're like, why does my brain feel like it's caving in on itself? That level of addicted. So
yeah. Part of me is thinking, what on earth is this holistic bullshit way of thinking, Sarah? Like, no, we don't want that. Shut up and just give me coffee.
Don't you dare shame my weird beliefs.
But also, it is true. It is addictive. It has addictive properties, so you shouldn't rely on it to at least wake up, at the very least. Exactly. But it's very difficult. So.
Especially if you've done it for years. It also is part of like a habit as well. So, yeah.
Don't mind me as I start chugging my pint of sweet iced coffee, right? As you're talking about addictive qualities of coffee. Yeah. So she may have a point. It could be.
Yes, the more we talk about coffee, the more I want a coffee. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Just say no, Sarah. Just say no. I don't want to enable you to.
I just say, not yet. Not yet.
I know.
That's the best I can manage.
So, listeners and viewers, we have an absolute banger show for you today. Again, so many topics to cover. We're going to start off with a little bit about what we've been playing, and that might or may not roll into a couple of topics that we are going to cover. One of which is going to be Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor has launched. It is getting rave reviews, but also kind of mired with a lot of technical blowback problems there. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We have The Last Case of Benedict Fox has launched on Game Pass. This was on my radar since, I think, when it was first unveiled at an Xbox show last year. It just looked incredible. It's a supernatural, spooky, Lovecraftian metroidvania. It just looks so goddamn good. So there's that to maybe cover. There is a body cam footage game called Unrecorded that we're going to talk about. Ubisoft has shown off a new spin-off for the Division called the Division Heartland. Got that to talk about. And one, which was so completely unexpected, is something called Funko Fusion. Completely unexpected. It looks utterly brilliant. I don't know what it is. It looks like a Lego format style of game, but with Funko Pops. So that right there is kind of enough to get us totally excited. And finally, Flashback 2 is officially happening, and it looks pretty awesome as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But Sarah, before I give you carte blanche on which topic to start off with, what have you been playing this past week?
I've played. I've been dabbling a little bit across a few things. I, of course, have been playing Jedi Fallen Order in the lead up to the release of Jedi Survivor. It's a great game, and it's just so well told in every aspect. I just think Cal Kestis is an amazing character to follow, so I'm really excited to see what Jedi Survivor has in store. I haven't started Survivor yet because I haven't finished Fallen Order, and I want to make sure that I finish Fallen Order. That being said, I have had massive spoilers for how it ends.
Really?
I know. I mean, all on my own head, basically, because so Connor was playing it before me, and I was watching sort of bits of it as he was playing it, and I'm like, this looks great, I can't wait to play it. And then I saw that, they fight Darth Vader at the end, so I was like, oh.
For the first game, sorry, I thought you meant Survivor, but yeah.
No, for Fallen Order. Yeah, I don't have any, actually, thankfully, despite there being, oh my god, so many spoilers on the internet at the moment. I'm like, no, scroll past or click something else quickly. What else have I been playing? Playing a lot of Valheim, actually, which I recently got into, which has been really fun. It's it's one of these time sink kind of games. You start playing it and you're like, I'll just do this. Oh, I'll just chop down a few more trees and build a little bit more of this building. Well, I'll just go fight this thing. And then, it's 8 hours later, you're like, oh, I was meant to sleep today.
Didn't happen, yeah.
But then we go have a coffee and then we're fine. But it's brilliant. It's really, really fun. And what else did I play? Oh, I tried the Street Fighter 6 demo, actually.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
So my idea was that I was like, I'm going to play some of this and maybe we can bring it up on the podcast. And I played a little bit of it, put it down and went to go do something else. And I never came back to it. And I think there's an element of it didn't quite grip me, unfortunately. Sure. And you know me, I love anything that has character creation in it. And this is quite unique to a fighting game. And I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
But that being said, despite being able to design my own character, there was loads of customization to that. The actual storyline of you kind of have a Pokemon esque style, go out and challenge people out and about on the streets,
capture
and
all
also
of the fighters inside a little
exactly
ball.
Exactly. And then there's also in the same vein, there's a rival. You get a rival at the start of the Pokemon games as well. You get Gary, a rival, so you have a rival like that as well.
God damn it, Gary! Seriously, Gary, come on.
He's the worst. This rival is slightly less of a rival initially. You get forced together as a pair to kind of work through the initial parts of the demo. And the idea is that it's you work together, you gain skills, you get strength, and then your trainer comes back and says, you're doing really well. You'll be able to go across the world and defeat everybody together. And then your rival just goes, no, I can't do that. No, I need to find the strength for myself. I don't want to be with this person. And you're just okay. I thought we were becoming friends. And then off they go. And that's about as far as I got. But yeah, for whatever reason, I didn't kind of get too wrapped up in it. Might have been massively distracted by Fallen Order, to be fair. Yeah, but
that's fair.
Yeah, it was all right. I think as long as the actual fighting element of it is fun, then I'd probably play a little bit of it, but it would not be top of my list.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. I played a little bit of Street Fighter as well, but I didn't delve into the character creator stuff. I was just playing multiple bouts of Ryu versus Luke, because that's the only two characters you can select at the moment as part of the demo. And I had my fight sticks out. I was all hyped and prepared and ready for it. And I was like, what's going on with the button combinations here? Why aren't my top 3 buttons my punches? Why aren't my top 3 my bottom 3 buttons, my kicks, what the heck's going on? And then I forgot that it has that user-friendly control scheme to be able to easily pull off combos and stuff like that. And I was messing with my muscle memory for low, mid, high for kicks and punches. And I went into the options. I couldn't find it for ages. And then I eventually did find it. I was like, yeah, turn that shit off. Give me classic. And then I was jumping into the few bouts, trying out Luke, who's the new character. But I had to go with Ryu because that's about the only character I know how to do moves with, the Hadouken and the dragon punches and the hurricane spin kicks and stuff like that. And once I got my control scheme set, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, it feels really good. But there was only the 2 characters to play, so I did bounce fairly quickly because I was like, okay. I'm not going to keep on investing hours into this demo because it's only a couple of stages you get to look at. It's only the 2 characters, and whilst it looks really slick, that's okay for now. That's okay. I don't necessarily need to play anymore. So it's probably similar for what you were saying as well. It's like, yeah, no, it's not really hooking me and drawing me in to like an addictive level of I've got to perfect that parry counter. I've got to perfect that heavy punch to low kick combo or that kind of thing. So it was good. But the big one that I was playing this past week was A Plague Tale Requiem. So last episode, I went in depth about the mini review because I was so far into it. I felt okay, pretty confident I can give it like a mini review kind of overview, and we're gushing about the haptics and things like that, and the story and the graphics and everything. So now I've finished it, and now I need therapy. I swear to God, the story is monumentally good, Sarah. It is. Oh my God, you just won't see it coming where it goes, and I'm kind of dancing around specifics here because I want you to experience it completely unspoiled as well. And the same for listeners and viewers. Try and play it not knowing what the heck is going to happen and where it's going to take you, but fucking hell, it was like and this isn't a mirror comparison for the narrative beats, but the way you felt at the end of The Last of Us Part 2. How like battered and broken you felt at the end of that, and it's got nothing to do with the narrative points or similarities or anything like that. I want to make that clear, so it's not spoilery. But I felt battered and broken at the end of Amicia's journey with Hugo and the Malacca and everything that was going on with this world of A Plague Tale. It's like, damn, that's gonna stick with me for a long time. The same way Last of Us Part 2. It still sticks with me, and I'm always hesitant about going back to play that because I know where it goes, and I was like, do I really want to feel like that right now? Yeah, maybe not. So finished that. That was a big chunk of my time this week. But getting back into it because I haven't really played enough of it. It's Horizon Forbidden West. So really focusing and trying to put time into that because of course Burning Shores has released and is doing a lot of great reception. They've massively improved the tech behind it as well. So I really want to get into the game proper and make my way through that. And I'm taking my time with it now. I'm actually playing on resolution mode of all things. That the dirty word of resolution mode and 30 FPS. How dare you, gamer, play at 30 frames per second? Good Lord. And I think something to do with that is coming off of A Plague Tale Requiem, which is 30. And then going into Horizon Forbidden West at 30, it doesn't feel like horrible or anything like that. And weirdly enough, I gotta say, I think Horizon Forbidden West is probably one of the best playing games for feel at a 30 frames per second. Yes, it feels amazing at 60, but playing it at 30 actually feels great. It feels really tight and responsive, which is not always the case for 30 FPS games sometimes. But Jesus, that game is so pretty. It is so damn pretty. And the fact that it is open world and it looks that good and you can kind of go anywhere and it's startlingly pin sharp when you get the camera like close to Aloy or some of the machines and everything. And it's like oh my God, like this is top tier gaming. This is benchmark stuff and it's wild. And so I'm taking my time with it. I'm still very early into it, but I've uncovered some of the big opening story beats, and I'm thinking, okay, it's kicking off now, because it does take a long time to get going, and that makes a lot of people bounce off it really quite quickly, because it's honestly, I'm about like maybe 6 to 8 hours in now, and now it's finally picking up speed, and you think, yeah, but why did it take so long to get going? And that's why it's taken me so many attempts to knuckle down and get into it, whereas the first game grabbed me instantly, and I was hooked all the way through for 50 hours. Whereas this one, I've started and bounced off it so many times. I'm thinking, am I actually at a point where Horizon Forbidden West is one of my most disappointing games of the generation, because it's not grabbing me. I can't get into it. Whereas now it's picking up steam. I'm getting some abilities. The narrative beats are getting peeled back and unveiled to me. It's like, okay, now it's kind of driving forward, and now I'm into it, which is great, because I was really worried that everybody's gushing about this game, that it's like one of the best ever, and I'm like, I'm bored. It's boring. Are you kidding me? It's so boring. But now it's not. It's over that hump, and it's just a shame that hump is actually there. But I'm really, really enjoying it now, and the gameplay was always great. That's never been an issue. But it was like the story's just like, at the beginning in those opening few hours. But now it's like now it's really picking up steam, and thank God for that, because I really want to see these amazing vistas. I really want to see the giant woolly mammoth mechasaur that we saw from the gameplay demo, and that is what I was looking forward to, like from the off, and we never got that for those opening few hours, and I think that made me like so disappointed by it. That expectation versus what we actually got. So it's like stupid to complain about, but it was there, and it was, eating at me.
No, I think that's totally fine to feel like that, because I feel exactly the same way. In fact, I still haven't even got back into it as a result of my first experience with it. I just felt like the start of it was kind of dragging its heels, and it's like, considering how good the first one was in terms of the storytelling, I had such high expectations for it, and then when it didn't sort of follow through initially, anyway, because I hear that obviously once you get to a certain point and the story opens up and it becomes huge and big again and it's amazing, I haven't got to that point. Whereas you get other games that hit you right in the face when you start the game, like both like starting sequences to God of War did that for me, whereas I felt like this is a sequel that I was expecting to be, in the same way that the first one did, just grab me, and then we were swept off into the story. But yeah, I feel very similar to you in that way. But I absolutely want to give it another go, because I loved the first one so much, and because obviously people are raving about it, and it looks incredibly beautiful. So
I know,
who doesn't want to play a game that looks like that?
Yeah. So that's what we've been playing this past week. Let's move on to your topic of choice. What do you want to talk about, Sarah? Because we have that whole bank of stuff, so I'll let you pick the first one for us.
I'm going to be really boring and pick the first one on the list, which is the Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's also the thing that I probably know the least about, because I haven't started playing it yet. But tell me, how are you feeling? Are you super hyped for what? Have you played any of it yet? Presumably, you took the whole day off yesterday. And
no, sadly, that was the thing. Like, I started a new job on Monday, and Friday was my last day. So I was hoping to, air quotes, work from home, but really just dive into the Jedi Survivor. Sadly, that didn't work. I actually did have quite a bit of work to do, so I wasn't able to do that. And it didn't unlock till like 5 o'clock or something anyway. So like the bastards. Whatever happened to digital release midnight launches? Eh?
I know.
Come on. Anyway, I digress. So I eventually got to boot it up and to play it for a couple of hours. I'm about 2 hours in, and can I just say, this is everything I had hoped Fallen Order would have been. It is so far, it is the sequel I had hoped it would be as well. Every issue I had with Fallen Order, which was a little bit of the clunkiness, a little bit of the slowness, a little bit of the how Cal Kestis didn't always feel terribly satisfying to play, and like his force powers always felt a little bit underbaked, and because in that game narratively that does make sense. He's trying to rebuild his connection to the Force after undergoing some immense childhood trauma of Order 66 and all that. Like, narratively it was amazing, but I always felt like I don't feel like a Jedi. I don't feel like very powerful or much like a badass. Cal Kestis is still quite a young man in the first game, with obviously the flashbacks as well to his childhood. But straight off the bat, the pacing for straight off the bat in Jedi Survivor is fucking amazing. It is really amazing. He is a badass. It's a few years later from the end of Fallen Order, and he has just got swagger. Like in spades now. He has got swagger, and the gameplay is just much tighter. It's a bit faster as well, and those little changes to the gameplay have made a massive difference to how enjoyable the game is straight off the bat. You start the game as a Jedi. It's not about developing your skills again, trying to relearn a double jump or to force push or anything like that, or to use the lightsaber. You're a fucking badass, like right from the off. You can double jump, you can force push, and one of the changes that I noticed instantly is how fast you can use your force powers in succession now. It seems like every bit of like combat or like attack or parry fills up your force bar significantly to like every couple of swings or blocks. Then you can immediately use another force ability. So that cadence of combat is much faster, and I did anyway. I started to use my force powers much more during combat encounters than I felt like I really could in the first game, because it seemed to take quite a while to build up that force meter until you eventually unlocked the ability to charge it up faster. Whereas right from the off here, you're just like pushing dudes off ledges because it opens up in a certain well-known location, which I won't spoil for anybody. But you can, like the stormtroopers, you yoink them toward you and then you just skewer them with the lightsaber. You could do that in the first game, but then you can, like that would maybe been like one move and then you'd have to do a whole bunch of combos to build that meter up again. In this one, you can do that. Then you can immediately force push somebody else, a parry and a strike, and then you can immediately start doing that, like the force powers again. It's just faster. It's way more fun. And even things like climbing up and mantling and scurrying up surfaces like a gibbon, you're super fast now as well. So remember in Fallen Order, you get to a point on Dathomir where you unlock these climbing claws and then you could scurry up surfaces really fast. Whereas before it was really slow to climb up the surfaces and do the climbing stuff like Nathan Drake. In Survivor, you've got the scurrying ability like right from the very beginning. So all of the stuff that was frustrating about the first game, they've just hammered out and really nailed to improving those in Survivor. And like the pacing for the story beats, the set pieces for that opening hour, that opening level is amazing. And it grabbed me instantly. And for anybody who is curious, I'm playing on the PlayStation 5. I was playing on performance mode. And there's been a lot of discussion about how bad the technical performance is with this game, especially on PC. I think it's an absolute disaster on PC, despite multiple patches already. There's been 3 patches, even the game, though the game has just launched. It's been really, really poor, which is really unfortunate. But on PlayStation 5, I can safely say there are some niggles, but I would honestly put them as niggles. Now, your mileage may vary. These niggles for me might be potential deal breakers for you. So there is quite a bit of screen tearing at times. It's noticeable, but again, it's not detrimental to my experience. I wish it wasn't there, but it's not stopping me enjoying the game. There is occasional frame rate dips, but again, it feels quite rare in the performance mode, and it's not damaging my experience overall. Now, if you're a gamer who is, really sensitive to like screen tearing, or you really pick up on frame rate dips, then that might be an issue for you for sure. But it's not hampering my experience, and I absolutely love this game so far, and it's giving me the Jedi experience, which I really badly wanted in Fallen Order, and like the plot and the story and everything like that was there in spades in Fallen Order, but the gameplay was just a little bit lacking for me, despite the fact that dueling with the lightsaber has never felt better from when Fallen Order did it. It was amazing, especially when you deflect blaster bolts back at stormtroopers. That was some top tier fucking amazing feeling game design right there. So that's obviously still back. I've got 2 lightsabers now, which is fucking awesome. You've got lightsaber stances now as well, so you can switch between a single blade or your dual lightsaber, or you can snap it in half and get 2 lightsabers. You've got this kind of thing, and so you can customize your playstyle to a degree as well. And it's doing everything right so far, but because I'm so early into the game, I just want to get back into it, take my time with it, and really see the story and everything unfold. But you can see the scope and ambition is way bigger than Fallen Order was, and I can't wait to get back into it, because it really feels like Respawn, they just get Star Wars. They really nail the feeling of creating Star Wars characters, Star Wars set pieces and environments and story arcs. And that is definitely not an easy thing to do. And just on that alone, like the characters in the story, is some of the best Star Wars we've had in quite a few years. And that's amazing to think about that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, there are caveats to your experience depending on where you're going to be wanting to pick it up and play. I will say one thing about the PC version. So my friend Dan Wade, he's been playing it on PC, and he's playing it through the EA Origin store. So he's launching it through EA Origin. And now, please don't fireball the comments with Origin negativity or anything like that, because I know the majority of the stuff is on Steam. But he's playing it on 1440p max settings, and he hasn't had any issues. That's what he says anyway. I'm taking his word for it, because I don't have any proof of this. But he says that he's had no issues whatsoever, and he's wondering if it's something to do with the Steam client versus EA Origin client. So maybe that's worth investigating as well. I can't confirm or deny that, but that's the feedback I'm getting from one of my friends. Who's playing it on PC, and he even put the ray tracing on at some point and didn't really notice too many performance dips. But he is rocking I think it's a 3060 Ti graphics card, so it is pretty beefy for sure. But a lot of the Steam reports are coming out, like people were trying to run it on a 4080 and stuff, and they were still cratering it around like 40 FPS. So, there's obviously a lot of optimization work to do on the game to really get it up to snuff, and I hope it fixes quickly, because this game deserves to be talked about as like some of the best Star Wars, and potentially maybe one of the games of the year. But obviously right now there's a lot of technical issues, and even on console, I can't speak for Xbox or anything like that, but the PlayStation 5 version, there's some niggles for sure. It's not perfect. I'd like to see these little frame rate dips and the screen tearing kind of patched out. But overall, like the experience is really good. I would say really good. Just not to that Horizon Forbidden West God of War level of polish that you kind of expect for big AAA games. But I'm really enjoying it, Sarah. I can't wait for you to jump in when you can and start experiencing Cal Kestis' continuation, because he's a fucking badass now, and he looks so cool. They gave him stubble, so that's like instant badass clothing.
Oh yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So very cool.
Oh, I can't wait. I seriously can't wait. Like, I'm really loving playing Fallen Order again. I switched it to story mode to try and boost through it. And you do feel like a bit more of a Jedi playing it like that, I'll be honest.
That's true.
And that's only because, like, literally something tries to hurt you, you're like, bash, 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 bye.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not designed to be played like that if you wanted to have the mix of experience of combat and story. But yeah, so I'm just so glad that they've done this thing, or rather not done the thing that they do with sequels, where they've gone, let's figure out a story reason why you don't know half your shit anymore. Like, I'm so glad that that's not a thing, because it doesn't make sense in some cases. Like, it feels really kind of like, let's get a really tenuous like reason for you to no longer be able to do something like a double jump. Like, that would just be, it's just really infuriating. And I think it makes much more sense having that, like those bits of the gameplay just incorporated into the way that the second game goes, because then you don't feel like you're being punished for no reason, like punished for wanting to follow through with a storyline. I'm really glad that they've done that, and I feel like it feels relatively unique, which is odd, because I would have thought that like
It's
Yeah,
quite an
maybe.
old game design kind of thing where
Mm,
maybe the opening level or the pre-credits sequence is they give you a fully leveled up, ultra powerful character, and then you immediately get the shit smacked out of you and you're back to level 0, and then you have to spend the rest of the game building back up to that. But you've got a
yeah.
little tease of to how powerful you should be. Or you start from the very beginning at level 0 and you have to build up to
Mm,
become all-encompassing Jedi Master. But I'm so thankful that narratively it wouldn't make, well, I guess it does. It could make sense, I guess, if they wrote it well enough. But I'm so happy that they didn't. They say, no. Cal Kestis is a Jedi. You did that journey with Fallen Order. Here you go. Just start off having fun, being a badass, pushing and grabbing and throwing stormtroopers around and impaling things with your lightsaber, and get that feel of just, fuck yeah, I'm a Jedi. and having this great experience right from the very beginning. I'm so happy they did that approach.
yeah, me too. Me too. Now I got to find the time to get onto it.
I know. One thing actually that I want to raise, that I never, or very rarely do I see any reviewer about any game talk about this, and it's the haptics and the 3D audio in games. I mean, this is obviously specifically for the PlayStation 5, so maybe that's why it's rarely covered, because they need to talk about the multi-platform experience, unless it's a first-party title. But the more games I've been playing on PlayStation 5 with the haptics experience turned on, and since I picked up a new set of wireless headphones for the PlayStation 5 that has the 3D audio, I've honestly been blown away by the quality of just the sound stage of 3D audio. And this game as well, I mean, A Plague Tale was phenomenal. Returnal was phenomenal with its audio design. Horizons is phenomenal with the machine sounds and everything that you can just hear in the distance and things as well. And then the whole soundscape just kind of swirls around you is an amazing audio experience. And obviously, whenever you boom, boost up your lightsaber, and you hear the humming, and you're thinking, and then you've got the crash and the crackle of dueling blades and everything. You think, fuck, the audio is so good, especially when it's 3D audio as well. So special shout out to 3D audio engineers and those designers as well, because I don't think they get nearly enough love.
Yeah, they don't. Big love to them.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my initial thoughts of Jedi Survivor. I don't know when I'm going to get around to playing more, but I hope it's very, very soon, because I really want to jump into and talk about the last case of Benedict Fox, because I was really looking forward to this one since we initially saw that trailer that it was coming to Game Pass. It looked amazing, right up my street. It's that 2D metroidvania platforming action game. And it launched the same day as Jedi Survivor, Sarah. God
No.
What the heck? What were you thinking?
I want to split myself into two people so that I can play both of these games.
I know. So are you looking forward to this one?
I for some reason didn't even know about this one, and then when you put it in the show notes, I was like, what is this? I don't know what this is. What is this? So I looked it up and I just went, holy shit, this looks so cool. Like, the animation style straight away was just like, oh, this is so pretty, this is amazing. And then to find out that it's got this kind of eldritch horror vibe to it, I'm like, come on, this sounds brilliant. And it just, and then the voice acting in the trailer sounds incredible as well. I was like, it feels like there's only kind of primarily your main character that you're playing as, and this sort of eldritch something in his head, and those are the kind of two primary voices that you're hearing, but they both sound really, really good. And so I'm super psyched to play this. And also it's on Game Pass, right?
It's on Game Pass, yeah.
Yeah.
So win. It looks awesome. And there's a bit there where he's getting these neon tattoos, drawn, what's the word, inked into his forearms, and you think, oh, is that supernatural powers and abilities and things like that you can upgrade your character with? It just looks amazing and visually top notch as well. And I cannot wait to dive into this as well. I don't know when. I don't know when we're gonna be able to play all of these games, Sarah.
I know, I
goal.
know. This is one of these moments where I'm like, I wish I didn't have to do anything else. I wish that money would just arrive at my doorstep and then I didn't have to like go out and earn it. Oh my god, there's a moment in the trailer that I watched where, because obviously it's sort of side scroller style. There's a point where he's sort of walking into what looks like a cavernous kind of area, and then something just comes straight out from the back of the screen, this massive monster that looks like a kind of giant anglerfish thing. And I was like, that's horrible. Watch out for that. It looks so good. It looks really creepy, but also like in that kind of like Victorian kind of hauntingly beautiful kind of a little bit steampunky, maybe, like that aesthetic. I'm all on board. That sounds so cool. It looks really pretty, and it's on Game Pass. I feel like I don't have an excuse to not play it, except for the lack of time.
No excuses, exactly. I love the fact that it's the supernatural, that you get to anything that lets you explore the memories of deceased victims to find out what their story was that came to their demise. I love that kind of stuff, and I think that the fact that it's 2D metroidvania, it looks just visually amazing. I think this is going to be one that people are going to sleep on, unfortunately, because of the timing. It's going to get overshadowed by the big hitters of Jedi Survivor. But I do want to make sure that people are going to check this out because it's on Game Pass. No excuses. It's just the only excuse is time, and that's the only. It's a major excuse. I'll give you that. It's a significant excuse. But, just try and squeeze out half hour here or there. I'm going to need to capture some footage of it for this particular show. So I need to try and play some immediately after this recording, probably, and then edit it in. So that's my excuse to work reasons I have to play this game.
Work justified time spent playing video games.
Exactly.
Mandated time for gaming. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Which topic do you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about Funko Fusion.
What the heck is going on?
It looks so good. Like, Funkos are a thing that I have tried very, very hard not to purchase any of, because I know that the minute that I enable myself to have one of them, I will get fully addicted and I will want to collect them, and I'll be like, oh, and then there's that franchise. I can get all of the characters from that franchise and all the characters from that franchise. And now what they've done, these clever little devs have put together a game that is all of them, presumably. At some point, you'll be able to unlock whatever character you want. And I'm not even 100% sure what the game is. Is it kind of like Fortnite style, like
I don't know.
PvP? I don't know. Is it like a Lego, like you were suggesting, like a Lego universe kind of style thing? Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm going to be watching and waiting very, very patiently because obviously I have other games I want to play first. But I really, really, really want to see what this is. This sounds super cool, and the trailer was great. And I feel like it almost didn't give away how much potential it could have. But I think the minute that you have the word Funko included. We all know what the potential is, because we all know that moment where there's a huge box and there's a big T-Rex coming out of it. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, because there's big ones as well as regular size ones. Oh no.
I've honestly, I'm watching it again here, and I've no idea what the actual game is. Whether is it like a giant sandbox, like that the Lego game that was like a big open world kind of sandbox, or is it a big old battle royale, or is it like each world or each franchise, I should say, has a handful of like story missions that you do, and it's just that? I don't know.
Yeah, if it's kind of like a kind of Kingdom Hearts-esque kind of thing, where like each area is maybe dedicated to a franchise or a TV series or a video game, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they have like different worlds, almost like traveling through a theme park, or or like Kingdom Hearts. Each kind of biome has its own set of characters that live within it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm literally just spitballing here because the trailer gives nothing away except for look at all the characters that could be in this game. It's like,
I know.
Okay, great.
They had me at Shaun of the Dead, and then it immediately switched to Adam of Eternia and He-Man. I thought, well, okay. And then they even had John Carpenter's The Thing and Back to the Future, and obviously Jurassic Park, and I just don't know what and Battlestar Galactica, and it looks so amazing. Like, it's got all of the pop culture franchises in there that I want as video games. And what would be amazing is if they did the Toys to Life thing. So if you were an avid collector of Funkos, just like scan the little thing and it puts it into your game. Bring that shit back. That stuff was gold. I don't know why games stopped doing that. Disney Infinity was amazing for it. Obviously, Skylanders. Funko Pops needs to get back on the toys to gaming hype train because Funko Pops is huge, absolutely huge, and there's so many of them. I've got friends who collect them, and they're just the wall behind them is just all these boxes of mint condition Funko Pops, and that's their backdrop. I'm thinking, God damn, that like how much money have you spent? Each one of those is like $10, and you've got a whole wall of all of them. And then they'll just announce a new franchise getting the Funko treatment, and you must like, I can't afford more. I have no space. Like each one is 3 deep, sort of thing. Each shelf is 3 deep. Oh my god!
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that's half the reason why I haven't invested in that as a hobby, because I just know that like that's a lot of money to be spending, because I wouldn't just be able to accept having one character from the franchise. Like I would have to have the whole collection, and then once you've done that, you've opened the floodgates, and that's it. Like that's. Yeah, like you say, that's decorating your entire wall, every single wall in your house kind of level of collecting.
Like, I'm amazed that I've staved off, because anything from the 80s, Turtles, Transformers, Thundercats, He-Man, Ghostbusters, that's all the stuff I would buy in spades for Funko Pops or really anything. I'm amazed I've managed to just not do it.
God.
Wow.
I'm trying to think, like, I don't really have anything. Well, my biggest vice is actually like buying video games. So it's this kind of scratches an itch in a way, right? Because you can maybe collect the characters or the character skins or whatever, however they're going to present them in the game. I don't know. My mind's a little blown by it, because like you've said, like the trailer doesn't give anything away. We just don't know what to expect.
I really hope they do the Lego thing where it's all of the Lego, sorry. The plural of Lego is Lego. I keep making that mistake. It's not Legos. But is it Funko or Funkos? That's the thing. That's the real question here. This is the kind of questions we need to ask. The deep meaning questions. Anyway, we'll go with Funkos.
Early for something so intense.
Can you unlock all of the Funkos? Are they all going to be in there? Or, I mean, there's going to be DLC packs, right? There's going to be the DC pack. There's going to be the Mattel packs. There's going to be the Hasbro packs of Funkos and things like that. But okay, I'm actually give me a season pass like Fortnite so I can unlock them, and I'd be okay with a little bit of microtransaction-y here and there, but just please not too egregious, not too greedy.
I can feel a season pass or something brewing. I guess the thing with Funko is that they don't necessarily have to. So, like Fortnite with the season pass will have maybe 1 or 2 characters from the whatever the season is specifically that people will recognize from something else, like a video game, like Geralt, for example, or something from the Marvel universe. But it will also have a series of like unique characters that are just designed for Fortnite. I don't think Funko will need to do something like that. I think every single character you unlock, like, because there's so many Funkos, Funko. Oh, now I don't know which plural to use. There are so many Funko. I'm going to try using that now. So many Funko out there that like you wouldn't need to even create anything new. You have so much source material at the moment. And also, is this potentially going to, like, are they going to incorporate new characters into this universe that will then become actual physical toys you can buy, because that's really clever as well.
That's very clever. Yeah. I want to, now you've got me thinking, Sarah, you've got me thinking there better be a feature in this game, or maybe in the future, to create your own Funko. And then I can then order that online, make it in the game, bring it to life. And then can I send that to a website or something? Kind of like the Elite controller with Design Lab, thing, to a degree. It's not like completely free reign. There's some set components that you can then create your own Funko and they'll ship it out to you or something like that. Come on.
Oh my
Come
God,
on.
Don't talk to me about customizing characters. You know that I'm all aboard that train. I love that. I'd sit there for hours. Like, that sort of thing is just such a time sink for me. I don't know what it is, but I really love the idea of either being able to design effectively myself, but like a kind of, a super universe version of myself, or the most absolutely ridiculously obscure, like, Blanca style, like, character. Like, I don't want them to look like a human. I want them to look like a creature. Like, but having that spectrum of ability is just so cool. And that in any game, let alone being able to design my own Funko. Obviously, yes. Absolutely, yes. 100% yes. Take my money, I suppose.
License to print, isn't it, really? Oh, gosh. Okay, that's cool. We'll wrap that one there before we start spending money we don't even have. So, okay, let's talk about probably one of the most disturbing games I have ever seen in my snuff. And that is Unrecorded. Holy crap. So on one level, this is I guess like a first person shooter, but with the aesthetic of body cam footage from like police or military and procedural takedowns and or training and exercises or things like that. And so on one hand, it's kind of amazing for the photorealism that they're going for. But on the other hand, it is so, for me, uncomfortable and quite disturbing because of how real world it is, and for what we see in the news, and all of the arrests gone wrong, and abuse of power for certain situations where police not de-escalating when they really should de-escalate, and things are just getting out of control. And anyway, that's a whole other political conversation that I don't really want to get into. But for this, I can see why they're pursuing this, but also part of me is like, that's in such bad taste. And I wanted to get your stance on it as well and see what you thought about this.
Yeah. So when I first watched it, initially I was just completely blown away by the level of photorealism that was being achieved. Like straight off the bat, I was like, oh, I'm guessing this is just like a bit of video to sort of start setting the scene. But then I realized it was actually in-game like footage. So I was like, okay, that's insane. The capability of, I'm actually not sure what the engine is that they're using, but whatever it is mind-blowingly like detailed, to the point of me thinking genuinely initially straight off the bat that it was real. I until because obviously we've been talking about it a little bit in the Facebook group, until you'd mentioned your feelings about it, it hadn't actually registered for me. But the more I think about it, the more it is a bit like, it's a bit icky, isn't it? Like, and I don't like the idea that, because it shows a moment where you sort of see someone cowering, and you have the option to kind of interact with them in 4 different sort of dialogue options. Or I guess the 5th option is to just shoot them, right? And it just feels a bit like games are, I appreciate that we want to get games to a point where they feel like so real that it could be, it could be real. It could be a real universe that you could put yourself into. But I think this line is a little bit maybe too close to to real world events. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because what really works for me in video games is a kind of like hyper real universe or fantasy universe. I'm not saying that there isn't a place for something that's like modern day and not sci-fi or not fantasy, but like maybe that's what makes this feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is the fact that it's not trying to be anything other than as realistic to now and to humanity as possible. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it, and I sort of watched the trailer and was impressed with it, but even still I wasn't like that keen to play it anyway. Like it's not something I would have picked up. I don't tend to go for first person shooter style games anyway.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, the more I think about it, the more it makes me feel a little bit wibbly wobbly in the belly.
There's a lot of touches in the game, like this example, this demo. They've pixelated the faces, which kind of adds an extra kind of thing of realism to it as well, which is a little bit disturbing. And as you said, like you could have arrested that person who's surrendering to you, but the player example just chose to shoot them, and that's disturbing in itself as well, because it's blurring the lines between what we see in the news of happening to people versus an entertainment product, and it's blurring that as well. And lots of games do and strive for photorealism, as you said. A Plague Tale, The Last of Us, they're really going for photorealism, especially with like performances. But there's still a degree of like uncanny valley where there is a slight disconnect where your brain is not entirely tricked into thinking that this is actually real. Whereas this being first person and being that look of a body cam kind of thing, where you get like the effects on the screen, like the warping, the fisheye lens effect, and I guess like the filters and things like that to make it look like real footage is impressive, but it's also extremely disturbing. And when I think of applications, I'm not a fan of this example of Unrecord, but taking this, like the tech and the learning here, and I can see it working in a Resident Evil, for example, like the first person Resident Evils, that kind of thing. Like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, that game opens as the entire, I think, opening hour or so is not the opening hour. It's a point in the game where you find a VHS tape in the cabin and you put it in a VCR, and then you play what was originally the demo, and the whole thing is a camcorder, and it's first person and it's just a camcorder. And it's like a Most Haunted episode where you go into with the film crew and the presenter and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my God, what was that noise? And yes, the reactions of hearing spooky shit going on in the cabin. And I could see that being immensely effective for horror, for spooky games, for like demonologist or phasmophobia, going into this kind of stuff. But it's also extremely like disturbing. Because if it's a horror game with this level of realism, and if it was like VR as well with that kind of stuff, with that kind of camera movement and stuff, you're thinking that is amazing, but also maybe I don't need games to be that immersive for my entertainment experience, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think it's amazing the capability that we have, and I don't think we should be shying away from conversations about what is morally a good thing to be representing. Like, I think it's, and I think it's fine for people to be interested in the game and to not, and to be able to separate the ways of thinking. But I don't think we should be shying away from having conversations about it. Like,
totally.
If anything came out that I was like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, and it's not to do with a body cam style, military, whatever. I would like to think that anyone would be happy to have a conversation with me as to why, and try and like understand it. And it'd be really interesting to see if the devs were aware of that when they were creating the game, and if there's meant to be an element of that discussion being brought about, or whether that's just incidental because of the type of people we are.
Maybe. I mean, they might just come from the angle of they wanted to go for something that was as photorealistic as possible to make you believe that you are this person who is doing these different objectives in these environments. They were not necessarily thinking, I want to make a social commentary game and make it as uncomfortable as possible for as many people as possible. I wouldn't assume that was the case, but that's going to be some of the fallout for a lot of projects that do want to tackle things that are really on the edge of believability, and it feels like taking, to some degrees, like the no Russian level of Modern Warfare 2, right? Where you're first person and you go into an airport and you mow down all of these civilians. It's like the conversation of what is tasteful, what should feature in games that you as a player participate in, and things like that. And this feels like another kind of moment a bit like that. It's like, should this actually be a thing, or should it not? And I mean, and as you said, having the conversations are always great, because different viewpoints will change out of it. Different things will come out of just having conversations about this kind of stuff, and that's always a great thing, is to just talk about stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, that was Unrecord. No idea when it's coming out. I guess it's just like a tech demo just now, but it's interesting for sure. So, Sarah, where do you stand on Tom Clancy's The Division?
I've never played any of Tom Clancy's The Division, so I stand very neutrally for Tom Clancy's The Division. That being said, I did look at the IGN gameplay for Heartland, and I mean, I've, without any reference point, because I've never played any of these games before, I thought it looked really cool. Like, I really liked the kind of art direction and the idea of kind of setting something in Middle America, where normally it feels quite like quaint and nice, and it feels like usually quite a neutral territory. But it looks interesting. I feel like I don't have too much to say about it other than, well, this is curious, isn't it? And the devs seem really like into it and enjoying everything they're talking about. Tell me your thoughts, because you'll probably have more of them, and then I could spitball off that.
No worries. So I absolutely love The Division. Myself and my friends were huge fans of The Division 1 and subsequently The Division 2. Division 2 improved so much with this end game and with its activities and with its setting being in Washington, D.C. I still really, really love the New York at winter, Black Friday kind of seasonal setting of the first game. I still think that's a more visually powerful setting. I love the concept of the dollar plague, I think they called it, which was infected money, which sent an epidemic around the world. I love the whole premise of it. And these sleeper cell agents that are government operatives to jump into action to try and restore order and things like that when society breaks down. And I think the premise has always been amazing for me. And Division 2 was freaking excellent, like really great. Third person cover shooter, looter shooter, and did everything that I wanted the sequel to do. I am desperate for the Division 3. I don't really want this. I really don't want this. I don't want a free to play PvPvE thing that is set in a Division world. I really don't. However, saying that, because I'm not getting a Division 3, I will probably play the utter crap out of this game because it's more Division. And I really like it. And when you jump in with a squad of friends, it's just a great time, because Ubisoft games, for all the flack they get, they are mechanically usually always brilliant. Like, the gameplay mechanics are always really slick and just really tight. So they can, like, to control your character, vaulting over stuff, jumping into cover, deploying your little sentry drones or your automated turrets and things like that, always feels amazing. Whether it is in The Division, whether it's in Far Cry, whether it's in Ghost Recon, they feel just great. They're just really well, solid, put together games. for all the the templated flack that Ubisoft gets, I still think that they're such an important publisher and development teams doing just really solid games. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I know it's going to work, and I know it's going to be great to control and just jump in for a session of an evening, laying down the order into this new environment for Heartland. And one of the big shakeups for competitive gaming, which the Division pioneered, was the PvE VP kind of gameplay loop. And like the main map was always just you and your buddies playing cooperatively against the AI, and that was amazing. But if you wanted to throw down with other players, you would go into something called a dark zone, which is like a hot zone of the virus, right? So you would don your big old gas mask, you would go into this huge area which was quarantined off from the main area. And that's when it was like the Wild West, where you would come across other players also out for, and they were scavenging for the best gear that were in various locations of these dark zones. And what I loved about that specifically is it was a case of, I've got like high-end gear, you've got high-end gear, we know each other have high-end gear. Do we do this Mexican standoff thing and just back away from each other and get to our the airlift zones kind of thing to evacuate our hot goods to then get them quarantined and then we get them back into the main game? Or do we just go into a firefight and try and steal each other's shit? So there's that kind of thing. And it was always like this tense sort of stare off. It's like, okay, there's two of me, there's only one of you, we're gonna fuck you up and we're gonna take whatever you've got because you came in here on a solo, you idiot. That kind of stuff. Or is it 2v2 or is it 3v3 fire teams or together? But maybe, and you could turn on your own team as well. So if you get a fire team and you've won their loot and we've got a whole lot of loot, if you could go rogue and then just turn on your own team and take all the loot. So you could do that as well. And that's the thing. And it was so cool and it was so fresh and original. And, Division 2 did it really well again. And that component of it, I think, is really quite exciting for Heartland because the whole thing is or feels kind of like that. You've got the evac points where you have to like hunker down and wait for the chopper to come in. Meanwhile, there's a huge flare, so every other enemy and every other player has been alerted that you're trying to evacuate some high-end shit, and they'll swarm on your location. And it's that kind of tense, like 90-second countdown timer to run up to the rope that the helicopter has dropped, attach your goods, and then get out whilst there's a firefight going on. And it's just very, very cool and very different from typical things. I mean, the free-to-play Call of Duty Warzone borrows heavily from that setup with this, is it Blood Money or something like that it's called? The game mode where you have to just find cash and then call in a helicopter and evacuate the cash for you to be able to bank it. It's that kind of premise. So yeah. Call of Duty has blatantly stolen the format from the Division here, but the fact that this is gear and loot and weapons and body armor and stuff like that, it's not just you banking arbitrary like numbers. It's something that you can then, if you're successful, take it back into the PvE map, and then you've got like a cool as fuck beanie or set of gloves or some jeans or something that are like ultra rare or a new grip for your gun and things like that. So I think the pool of Heartland could be really, really strong with Division players. I hope they do it well. It is free to play, so there is the question of microtransactions, season pass stuff. What is the actual gameplay loop going to be with the strong story stuff that the Division had? And I really hope they nail it, because this, for all intents and purposes, maybe, and I'm completely speculating here, Heartland may have started out as the Division 3 and then turned into Heartland. It could have been a project like that where they maybe kind of started on the Division 3, prepping it and pre-production and stuff like that, and then it morphed and turned into this, or the Division 3 is still in production. They're still working on what they want to do with it, and this is something to, satiate our hunger for the next big slice of Division. So they're going to give us this whilst the Division 3 is still coming down the line. I really don't know. So total speculation there, but I'm hoping that it's enough of a jump, an improvement of systems and things like that, that it kind of feels like a Division 2.5, to then give us a full-blooded Division 3. I hope so. I really do hope so. So I'm apprehensive, but kind of excited, but mostly because of how much I love the Division.
Cool. I mean, it sounds like a really good franchise. It sounds like it's kind of come from a really solid base. So it makes me think that, yeah, I mean, it's a shame if you're looking forward to a third game in the actual franchise itself, but maybe this will tide you over for a little bit.
I hope so. So if it's third person, sorry, not third person, if it's on like PS5 and stuff like that, I'm going to make sure you get it so we can play together. We can squad up.
Yeah, let's do it. That can be my first entry into the franchise.
Yeah. Character customization, Sarah. You've got it in spades here.
Don't tell me that. I'll go and get it now.
It's not out now. Not yet, anyway.
Well, I'll walk up to the Ubisoft head office and I'll be like, hey, I heard you had character creation in this game. Can I please have it now?
Chap, chap, chap. Knock, knock, knock. Hello, when's your
don't
game
you know
out?
who I am? I'll play the intro.
I'm a BAFTA winner, bitches. Give me the code.
Always on time. Addicted to coffee. Give it to me now.
So, folks, that's the Division Heartland. Looking really cool. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to playing it. I don't know when it's actually coming out. It doesn't actually say on the description of the video I'm watching here. So, hopefully soon. Hopefully there'll be a beta or something really, really quite soon, and we can get hands-on and, give a... I would imagine there'd be more stuff on it for the summertime when all the gaming conventions kind of kick off and things like that, in the absence of E3 and what have you. So looking forward to it. Anyway, that's quite enough of that. Final topic is a blast from the past, a flashback. Sarah, Flashback 2 gets a new gameplay trailer and a launch window. Now, I'm really, really showing my age of how much I liked the original Flashback. It was hand-drawn, rotoscoped animation, not dissimilar to the OG Prince of Persia, way back on PC, which was those, what was it? Would it have been 8-bit graphics back then, or would it have been a little bit kind of higher end? It would have been higher end, right? It would have been.
Could have been 16-bit.
Yeah, because the animation was pretty fluid, right? For the rotoscoping of the prince.
Yeah, I want to say 16-bit, but that's just a shot in the dark.
Yeah, so I think Flashback originally probably would have been like 32-bit era, because I remember well, no, actually that would have been 16-bit, because that was on the Mega Drive and things like that, right? So Flashback 2 gets a new trailer, and a release date is coming August, I believe. I've lost the date. Where is it? Oh no, November release window. Beg your pardon. So end of the year. But I'm just really, really looking forward to more Flashback finally coming back. It's interesting that they've called it Flashback 2, because the sequel to Flashback was actually a title called Fade to Black, which was amazing, and it went fully 3D for the first time ever. And then they rebooted the original Flashback just a few years ago. So this is kind of like a sequel to that reboot, rather than a canon sequel or sequel to Fade to Black or anything like that. But my PC homies out there will be aware of Fade to Black and how amazing that game was, and its full 3D-ness, and oh god, that was crazy good. But this looks wicked because it's that 2.5D look to it. You can go like into the foreground, into the background, run around the kind of 3D environments, but it's still that kind of 2D side scroller of the classic, and anything cyberpunk. And I'm getting cyberpunk in a kind of 2D metroidvania style of a wrapper. I'm all for. I'm getting about.
I love this. Like realize that this is just another hole in my game knowledge that I had no idea about Flashback. So when I saw that this trailer that you'd shared, I was like, I'm gonna have a look into this. And I looked at the original one from the Mega Drive, and I was like, I have not played this game, but I have played this game before. Like these types of games were like totally my jam. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. I'm going to watch some of the gameplay from the original 1992 version, and then I'm going to watch this trailer. And what I really loved was how, even though this is, this new game that's coming out, Flashback 2, is absolutely beautiful. And if you just said, oh, this is a new game that's coming out, I'd be like, this looks great. This looks fun. I'd play a little bit of this. But you look back, compare it to the 1992 game, there are so many like things that they've just kept as a kind of continuing thing, like even just the way that the role of the character, his little role as he moves through, his outfit's the same as like brown jacket and his little jeans. I'm like, like
his white sneakers,
great. Right? It's so nice. So they've just gone, this is just how this character is. This is key to our actual franchise. We want to make sure that we have all of these little moments in here while improving the game for modern players. So if someone comes out of nowhere like me who's never played any of them, they can still enjoy it. But people who have played it even way back in the 90s and are like, yeah, we loved this game. Look what we get to play now. We get to play this homage to this game that we loved. And we get to play it in this beautiful new setting. And yeah, I love the 2.5D. Very cool. Very cool way to kind of build on the side scroller like mechanic. Yes, I love it. It looks amazing, doesn't it?
It does, and it's got a really sick looking collector's edition coming as well for the physical release. Must not buy any more statues or anything, Sarah. I have no space. I've got boxes piling up around me. I can't even sit in front of my big TV. I have to game on my monitor. My big 50-inch TV is right there, but I've got boxes in front of books and all kinds of crap that I need to put somewhere, and it means I can't use my TV. I gotta sit at the monitor and game there like a pleb, like a PC gaming pleb, like a goblin that plays PC.
How dare you? I use a monitor for my PC gaming. And then, to be fair, we've got our big TV in the living room. That's good for everything else. I love a good collector's edition as well. Like, I have to say, no, I don't necessarily invest in every single one that comes out because otherwise, I don't know if I'd be able to eat. But if I see a really good one, and if it's a franchise that I'm like obsessed with, like obviously I bought the God of War one, but like,
there are some
seriously cool collector's editions out there, so I'm so glad that they're doing it. And I love little collectible things too. Like we're talking about Funko earlier as well. It's like it's an itch to scratch. It's like it's nice, and also nice when someone comes into your house and they're like, "Oh, that's so and so from that game," and you're like, "Yeah, it is. Let's talk about video games. I'm glad you're in there as well."
Absolutely. I do love. I've got the original God of War collector's edition statue. I've got Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. I've even got you know how hardcore I am. I've got the Division collector's edition as well, which is fucking amazing. I used to collect the statues. Now I limit myself to the concept art books. Of again, which I could fill a library with concept art books, but that's where I kind of draw the limit now. I no longer go for the statues because they do take up an absolute ton of space, and at least books you can kind of file flat into bookshelves and things like that. So you can always have more books, but you can't necessarily have more statues unless you have a very, very big room, which I do not, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they do demand a lot of space, and as they should, because some of the detail that they get on these statues are so cool. Like, Yes. Oh God, my wallet, my bank account. I feel like that's all I've done. This whole episode is like whinge about not having enough money to do all the gaming things I want to do.
We all whinge about not having enough money. Actually, if only we could just get sent free stuff, free everything. Just send us free everything.
Hint. Are you listening out there? Ubisoft, I'm going to come knock on the door.
If only. So, folks, that is a wrap on episode 104 of the Weekend Catch-Up Club podcast. Thank you so much for your support, for tuning in and listening. It is hugely, hugely appreciated. We have an absolute blast doing this every single week, shooting the shit about video games. Take care, everybody. Happy gaming, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.